Yeah, so like the digging part, I think we both really enjoy to like go record shopping. Like, I don't really play vinyl yet, but I still love to go digging to record stores because it's just like different vibe. Like, it's not the same as being in your computer 5 hours.
Can I say that that's like literally how we spent our anniversary?
Yeah.
Like we literally went to a record shop in London
yeah.
and just like dug for what,
Yeah.
4 or 5 hours?
Yeah, yeah.
Like
And
we
it's
had a
very
headache.
fun to just like grab 30 records and
We had a headache afterwards. Like we left the store being like, oh, we need to drink some water or something. Finding tracks is like the old school analog way of going to a shop and digging through most of the time the second-hand section, because that's where the gold is.
Yeah, yeah. You never know when and where you're gonna get those. But also like being alert all the time. Just being open to receiving the goods. There's always like a luck element, manifestation if you want to be more spiritual about it.
The protective hand of Fortuna. The golden digging hand.
Yeah.
I think like what you said is so on point actually about like being able to like receive it when it comes. Because that's something that I see a lot is like a lot of DJs that I know dig for music in a way that's very like oriented towards function. And like one thing that I love about you and about like going record digging with you is this aspect of like we have a very open mind when it comes to digging. Mm-hmm. Like when we dig for records, it's not just records to like play in a set, it's records that we could sample. It's records that we just maybe like want to listen to.
For me,
you
it's
know
something that excites me. Like I think when you're a DJ, you're looking for so much music that at some point you just really want and need the magic. At least for me, like, it's like, I don't want something that is like, okay-ish. I want something that connects me with higher thing, you know what I mean?
We're fucking assholes about track IDs, I think.
Yeah.
I love sharing music and I love sharing music with people, but I am a bit gatekeepy about it. So for me, it's like, for example, when I play a boiler room or like when I publish a set, those tracks that are in that, they're burned afterwards. I will publish them, I will like publish the track list and I will put that track list everywhere and I will tell everybody where I got these tracks. It's very important to me as well. But you will not hear me play those tracks a lot after that, you know what I mean?
You like to have some secret tools.
And there are tracks that I have that I will never play in a single boiler room set, in a single published set ever. Those will stay with me and only me. Some tracks I will also tell like other DJs about, you know what I mean? And I'm very, very happy to do so. But on some, especially like those really secret nuggets, no one's ever gonna find out about those, you know, except maybe you. Like, I feel like between us, we share a lot. We share a lot. Also not everything, but a lot.
Yeah, yeah, but I think we are sharing more than before.
Yeah, for sure. But there are like also between us, I would say like between us, the track ID question becomes interesting because then it's like, I still remember you pulling a record at Bikini Wax Records in Berlin, where I was like pissed off for the rest of the day at you afterwards that you pulled that record.
And you took it on tour.
I was like, nothing would stop me from playing it on tour.
But then we trade. It's like, okay, you can play that, but I can play this track of yours that's super...
Exactly.
So I think we decided on that. Like we kind of share some music.
For me, that's the way that I go about track IDs. I like to share, but not everything.
But also, like, at the same time, it's not good to gatekeep a lot because at the end of the day, it's like you want to make the producers known for the work too.
Hard to lie, I'm the most excited about like Saturday and like the 10-hour set with like our back-to-back on Sunday taking a very, very, very close second place. Also, one thing that I find quite agitating is that, like, you know who I'm going back-to-back to in the Battle Royale and I don't.
I mean, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, also terrified once again. I feel like for ADE in general, the line between being scared of something and being excited for something is very, very thin. The opportunity came from like, we've been like working with Intercell for a while already. And like they suggested for this year for ADE to like do our own concept. And I mean, I have like the party Language of Love which you're a resident of as well. We wanted to do something kind of different and something fresh. We came up with the idea of like playing an all day long pretty early, so just like a really, really extended set, but then thinking about how could we make that a little bit more interesting. So then it got to the idea of invites, so like that different back-to-back partners will join me every hour and a half. And then it was actually my agent who was like, what if you also don't know who you're going back to back with? And then we were onto something. I'm super into wrestling. Then we came up with this idea to like make this wrestling narrative around it. And my agent and my manager curate the lineup, but don't tell me who it is until the moment that they come on stage, to kind of imitate this Royal Rumble situation from the WWE. Where it's like 30 wrestlers in one ring, but none of them know who it's going to be beforehand. I am quite proud of the fact that I think you could put me in like a booth with a lot of DJs from a lot of different genres, and I could like hold my own against them. If it's not something completely out of nowhere, like heavy old school Chicago juke DJ or something like that, I think then I'd be kind of fucked. But like, I think from anything from like drum and bass to like two-step to very, very, very old school Chicago house or Detroit techno, all within these realms, I can totally hold my own. Inspiration by Italo house and Italo disco. Visual inspiration by Italian horror movies from the 80s. We had like this whole visual identity for this project already in it, you know. We were really interested in doing something that was dramatic and kind of theatrical.
Yeah,
kind
that
of
tells
out
like a
there.
story, like a romantic story.
Yeah, a romantic story, but also having a project that's kind of like has a lot of lore to it, you know. It's like watching a movie when you're listening to it as well.
Yeah. Which, by the way, we love movies.
I feel like then it just felt like we tied all of these
Yeah, like
together in the
we
middle.
never thought about doing an EP. We're just like, we just did Mi Amor.
It started with Mi Amor, and that was supposed to be a single. And then Gerd, shout out Gerd Jensson, he was immediately like with Mi Amor, he was like, yeah, let's do it. But he hates singles. He was like, we can do a single, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
And then it kind of snowballed.
I did Cocoon Cracking.
True,
and then,
you made Cocoon Cracking.
Yeah, which is like more ambient version of Fleeing Into You.
My favorite song of yours. And then we're like, listen to this. I was like, this is incredible. I would like to do something more clubby with this.
Yeah.
Can I?
Yeah.
And you were like, sure, go ahead.
Yeah.
And was like, do you maybe want to put this on the EP as well? And we were like, sure.
Yeah.
And then we already had 3 tracks.
And then we thought, why don't we do like an ambient intro if we do an ambient outro with
True.
Cocoon Cracking?
Then I made Per Asperat Astra because you made the ambient outro
Yeah.
with Cocoon Cracking. Then I made the intro, Per Asperat Astra. Then Gerd was like, this is a really cool intro. Could you make a club version of this? And I was like, no, this will stay an ambient track and you're gonna like it. We have 4 tracks now, release this EP. And then Gerd was like, doesn't Morphena also have this other really cool unreleased track that you've been playing quite a lot called Paradise? Sure do. What are you getting at? And it was like, well, if you then make another mix of Per Asperat Astra, then you would have 6 tracks. Isn't that a fantastic EP? And that's kind of how it all came together.
Yeah. I think for us it's very hard to separate like art and life. I think like
100%
music, art, and like who we are, it's like it's a fusion. So it makes sense that when we met, apart from like, I don't know, falling in love, we also and we love similar kinds of music.
Yeah.
So it just like made sense.
It is somewhat inseparable. So there was never the moment when we were like, ooh, you know what, maybe we should make some music together. It was always like very intertwined already from the start. We knew we were both DJs, we knew we were both producers, so the creative collaboration aspect was very much an elephant in the room after we started dating.
And similar creative vision,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think.
exactly. Like
It's not like, oh, we just produce dance music and that's it.
liking the same
Vision.
things, being bothered with the same things about the scene, wanting to having like the same set of values ingrained of us, what we feel like club culture should be. In a way, I really do feel like we were kind of destined to meet because we have such a similar view of the world and of the electronic music scene that finding a specific moment where it clicked, we may as well just say exactly that the first moment that we met. Because it was that. It's been like all click from there on out, you know what I mean?
But yeah, I guess Mi Amor really was like the first actual proof. And I think when we went to, the first time we went to studio together.
Yeah, true. We were also like very, very pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
The story about how we met is great. Yeah, we met in Buenos Aires when I was on tour. You wrote me, I remember seeing you on a DJ set stream beforehand and being like, yeah, but let's have dinner. And then we like had dinner and we immediately knew that we were like getting along really, really, really well. Talking about the things we already talked about that we were passionate about, like movies, like anime, like music, just like continuously like yapping on. Yeah, and having like these magical 24 hours before I then had to leave because I was only in Buenos Aires for 24 hours. Very much like a before sunrise situation. Afterwards we continued to write, but we noticed like, okay, I think there's a dynamic here that is hard to ignore. And that dynamic has gotten us here now, I guess. A little bit of a cop-out answer, but I would say for me, I've had many mentor figures over the years and I've met a lot of people in the industry who have inspired me a lot and who've helped me become the musician that I am today. Picking one would almost be a little bit dishonest. Like there was Frankie Flowers, the guy who taught me how to DJ. He's going to be very pissed if he ever finds out that I am calling him this, but like this kind of like slightly like aging icon from like the Berlin DJ scene. He legitimately taught me how to spin records, you know. He was the one who booked me for my first gig ever at his like Monday night at Tresor. There was Dilby, this amazing producer and like house DJ from New Zealand who taught me how to produce, taught me how to use Ableton. There were other people who have like inspired me so much and like you're one of them, you know what I mean? Like without you, I wouldn't be making the music that I make today. Without you, I wouldn't be playing the records that I play today. And without all of these people that I have met in my career, I wouldn't be where I am today. God has given me a platform to like play the music that we want to be accepted by the house scene, because it means something when a label like Running Back releases your music, which is like one of the most respected labels of the 21st century, you know what I mean? At least when it comes to house, it's just like there are a lot of people who have inspired me over the years and I feel like all of their names deserve to be mentioned in a way.
I think for me at the beginning when I started DJing, it was the moment when I was most in contact with people, because I did like a training with a collective called No Shade, where I had like multiple mentors. Then I had my own collective called Coven. It was also people that I learned from a lot. And then I think DJs or artists that I didn't know, also they're very influential. Most recently, yeah, you were saying about La Siesta del Fauno and Ernesto Romeo, that's important people in Argentina. Not specifically for DJing, but just like how to be an electronic music artist and
just an artist.
And an artist, actually. Yeah. Being there for a while was very, very inspiring. Dance music was always queer. Queer environments are the most authentic places you can ever be. Therefore, they're the best parties as well. So like everyone wants to like be there, but it's very important to understand who's like fake and who's not. You know?
Fucking preach, Queen. It's very important to be aware of this, because yes, we're having like a queer awakening in the scene. It's
cool to be queer.
Exactly where I was getting, because it's like for a lot of people it like seems easier than ever to be queer and it seems cooler than ever to be queer. It's important to distinguish between the queer people legitimately fighting the fight for our community, who are holding up this flag, who are legitimately like fighting this fight that is still hard as fuck.
It's not just like using makeup, you know?
Exactly, like fighting this fight, being out in public, like getting, unfortunately, it's a part of it as much as the great fucking parties is like getting the hateful fucking YouTube comments, you know? Getting the fucking transphobic, queerphobic bullshit that people are still posting everywhere, and just like carrying this into the world and being out and being proud as much as they would have been in the 80s.
These parties were like spaces where queer people could feel safe, because in the normative world it's not safe to be queer. Now it's like it's all mixed, and I think it's still very important to understand that it comes from a need of having a safe space where you can be yourself.
Exactly. To both of us, we have a really similar set of values, which is bringing these values from the 80s, from the 90s, from the 2000s into the queer scene now, because they're just as needed as they were back then. It might have gotten better for queer people in the world, but we need these safe spaces and these things as much as back then. And one thing that annoys me a little bit about the scene right now is that there's a lot of artists out there who have realized that, yeah, queer people, they kind of throw the best parties, you know what I mean? Like, and that they would really love to be, they would really like to be a part of it without being the ally that they would have to be to take part in that community, you know? Because the queer scene is open to anyone who wants to be a true ally, who wants to be part of it or wants to be a true ally.
It has to be real.
But it has to be real, and there is a certain price that comes with it, you know what I mean? Because you then can't be quiet about it in public. Like, you have to carry those values into your life, into the public. And if you're not gonna do that, then I feel like that's very disingenuous, to be honest. You want the good part of the queer scene without actually supporting the scene as a thing, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's not a vibe, as you would say. I think the big step for me was allowing it to get a little bit bigger. I've been like being very protective of Language of Love as a thing. I surrounded myself with a group of what I consider the best DJs in Europe or even the world, which is you, which is my dear friend DJ Frank and Berlin Track Servant, who will be representing this label, this name, Language of Love, as like a group, as a family. I wanted to become more like a house, a family, a collective in a way, than just like a cool name to adorn a festival stage with, you know what I mean? Getting all of this hype that I got over like the last few years, it's very easy to leave all of the underground nightclub scene behind, and I feel very, very obligated to not do that at all and to shine a spotlight on it and to also give back to it. Because a lot of people in that scene are struggling, and a lot of clubs in that scene are struggling, and a lot of DJs, whatever you want. I have been blessed by like making it to where I am. So the least I feel like I can do is like help everyone around me also get like alongside of me, you know what I mean? And that's what I want to do with it. And so while we are going a little bit bigger with it next year, I don't want to spoil too much, but we're definitely heading to like a few more countries. I wanted to stay about what it represents, which is queerness, which is family, which is the underground. Like, and I will never make that go away. I want it to be a name that stands for culture.